Hi guys, welcome back to Levi's Art Trading channel. So essentially what we're doing today is talking about my trading guide. So my trading guide is like basically how I'm going to be basing everything and the whole process. It's going to be like the formula of everything. It's like the absolute guan. So obviously I started with emotional control. The reason I did this is mostly just because you want to eliminate as much emotion as possible in like trading. You want to be very systematic. You want everything to be essentially like programmed, like very programmed. So my first line is base all decisions on like back tested results. And what I mean by that is everything that I've done is tested, like everything. The next thing obviously I listed was if the conditions aren't met, then I obviously don't want to be trading. So it's like that idea of recognizing when you're actually wrong and okay, this isn't right and I should not be trading, except that the market is always right. Because essentially it is, and that's just the guan. So if you're in the wrong, you're just in the wrong. You just gotta kind of accept it, and that's the guan. The only thing you can do really is accept and try and figure out what you did wrong. Remove all ego when it comes to winning and building capital slowly. So essentially, once you get into like this winning phase and you start building and building and building, you tend to get a little bit overconfident, and that tends to down spiral. So best to avoid that. The next thing was like risk management. So essentially what I want to do is start off with like a £3,000 account realistically. So I'll be saving that over the course of the year, and I'll only be trading 0.5%. That way it'll take a lot longer for me to like blow a massive amount of money in like a very quick time. It'll take a very long time. So hopefully in that time I would have come up with a system that eventually works. I'll be using the demo account to essentially like allow me to simulate some kind of like how I will be doing live, and I can swap between live and demo for a course of the year with like the account size I already have. But obviously I won't be going like wham on it. At the moment I'm still learning, so that's the kind of like where I'm kind of taking it. Then I want to focus on like higher returns rather than win rate, because I feel like, yeah, okay, winning all the time is great, but like it's a little bit, if you can win more than you lose, then essentially that's a lot easier to manage, I would say. I mean, think of it like this. I mean, like you could win like £1 like 10 times in a row, but if you lose a fiver, then it's just a bit peak, isn't it? Rather win £50 and then basically lose a tenner, then that's okay, you know. And if you lose 3 times, then it doesn't really matter. Okay, moving on. So my risk will be determined by using the TD point to the breakout price. So that little like worked out percentage will be like my risk for overall. But you don't necessarily have to understand what that is. It's just like a little reference for myself. You know what I mean? That's what you mean. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just a little reference for myself. Really, like realistically. And obviously like my price projectors will be like my main source of like where I'll be taking like my limits. So where I'll be taking the money will based on my price projectors. So that's how I'll be determining my risk reward ratio. Then we have trading limits. So this is essentially like what are the limitations of using trailing with this technique. So using higher time frame projectors as a main target, but cutting off in a pullback, flipping the trade and then reversing again to the final target. So what I'm talking about there is riding the waves in between the projectors. So use the projectors as a guide, but essentially you're riding the waves, but it's quite difficult to do. Like it takes a lot of like, you have to be very systematic about it. So I want to get into the point where, or at least get to the point where I can actually do that. And there's obviously different types of trading, and everyone has like their own little version of it and blah blah blah. There is always he's right or he's right, and it doesn't really matter, and everyone's right, and then blah blah blah. So to be honest, it's like discovering like what works for me. Do I want a tighter trail? Do I want a looser trail? And just seeing like which works, what doesn't work, and kind of just going from there. Then obviously I got my night analysis section. So before I go to bed, I'll be doing like little bits of like that and this, taking notes, and then obviously when I wake up in the morning it's easier to reflect. I've listed like a wake up time, and obviously that's mostly just so I have a gist of roughly when I'm going to do everything and how it's going to work. But we'll see how that goes, and if that works for my schedule then great, but if it doesn't then I'm obviously going to tweak it, and then we'll see where it'll go. But for now that's just what the guan is. So for now these are my confirmations and conditions for entering a trade. So I don't necessarily know if these are 100% going to be like the whole thing for a future, start, or if I might tweak them later. But obviously that's what the back testing's for and the forward testing, and then we're going to see where that takes us. But for now, that's just a base plate for myself, so I can kind of like work in the general gist of things, and those are like my confirmations for me. Yours might be different, but who knows? I mean, it depends on your strategy. I've got like a more focused tool section as well that I've written in, so things I'll be looking at and exploring that will eventually assist me into building a better picture of where everything's kind of going. Oh my god, my camera's slipping. No. Yeah, no, but on a serious note, like, it's kind of, I think it's helpful to have kind of like a structure, and then it makes it a lot easier to go, okay, cool, I could do this next, this, oh, I've done this already and done this all day, this works, this doesn't work, and it's kind of like seeing the overall picture once again, which is, yeah, so that's the whole idea of like keeping track of everything. So what I'm trying to do now is like keep track of everything, like literally everything. I've also added an exit plan. I feel like you should always have an exit plan. It's like, when should you exit a trade? When are you wrong? And that's obviously like, you have to decide when you are wrong for your strategy, so you know that, okay, cool, if this happens, then I should probably exit the trade. Oh, I maybe didn't analyze it properly, so I should probably exit the trade. And it's those kind of conditions that like help you and keep you safe in the long run. Still also got like loads of ideas of like, would this work better, would this work better? And obviously what I want to do is kind of list them out and kind of go, okay, cool, let's find out if this works better or if this works better. So that's kind of where I'm going with this plan. So hopefully now I've got like a framework, even though it's not that much, I'll be able to kind of like, okay, cool, do little bits and then basically write those down and go, okay, cool, I can expand on this and then see where that goes and see where this goes and see where that goes. And then hopefully everything works out. But yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for listening, like and subscribe. And if you want to stay tuned for more juicy apples, then yeah, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening and have a good day.